Welcome to another Creaky Gamers Battle Report. Let's hope they know what they're doing. It's Warhammer the Old World. Creaky Gamers a go.
Right, so round 5 of Castle Assault, and you guessed it, we're drawn against dwarves again. So I'll just make this a brief report because we're playing lengthways, and then I'll go over my little rough tier list from the last few tournaments and so on, and give you my opinion. You can tell me I'm wrong and so on, but this seems to be a trendy thing to do, and I'm always up with the latest trends. So that's my tier list based on my opinions. Anyway, we'll come back to that at the end, so I'll just do a brief report. Okay, here's the dwarf list. It's a nicely painted one. There's the obligatory Iron Drake, so 2 units of 10 of them with the Troll Hammer Torpedo. He's got an anvil, nice looking anvil there, and a couple of gyrocopters. So it's a nicely painted dwarf army. And then more Iron Drakes there, and then I think they're hammerers. He might have a hero in there or something as well, and the king with his shield bearers in a big unit. Maybe they're Longbeards or something. Anyway, hammerers, Longbeards, whatever they are, they're tough dwarves. And then I've had to deploy the Black Orcs back here a bit because I didn't want his scouts coming up behind me. So he's just deploying his big unit of scouts with their crossbows over on that flank. And then round 1, he sends his gyrocopters up trying to get rid of my bolt thrower. So he's using that big building in this big tower in the center of the table for some cover. Then in my turn, just doing a bit of peppering with the Doom Divers, etc. And then I've swung a chariot, and the Great Keith have gone this way to try and get rid of the scouts. So I can't have those scouts there shooting me all game, and his gyrocopters are going to end up behind my lines causing havoc. So between his shooting and the gyrocopters, I've got to deal with that first before I can advance at all. My war machines, the Doom Divers, are doing good work on the King's unit, etc. And the Great Keith's going to go in here with the chariot. The chariot gets shot off the table by the Iron Drakes around the corner, but the Great Keith goes into the big unit of scouts there. He's got a gyrocopter behind me here. I have to turn the chariot around. Another gyrocopter there, so I've got to get rid of the gyrocopters first before I can advance. So I'm going to have to release fanatics here through that one to try and get rid of that gyrocopter. I think I'll do just enough wounds to get rid of it. And the other one behind me, I have to turn around and zap it as well and shoot it with a bolt thrower and so on. And then his Iron Drakes there shoot that chariot off the table with the crossbows in the stand and shoot probably. And then the Great Keith does a long bomb charge into them, and I get a bit lucky here. The scouts roll an 11 for their break test and run off the table. So then the Great Keith turns around to face the army, and his King's unit, he's lost a fair bit out of the King's unit from the Doom Divers, so they've been doing pretty well. And I've got rid of the gyrocopters now, so I can move up. I've got that chariot around his flank way over there, and then the other chariot's getting shot. So the Great Keith's facing off his whole army here, and he's not going to go in there. I'm just going to duck around this way and then get into his anvil. So he survives all that shooting, so he's pretty tough against. He doesn't die easy from the shooting. He's been pretty lucky there, and the Iron Drakes, etc. I'm going to release some fanatics there and then go around that way to get at the anvil. So I'm not going to go in there and fight the king. There's no way I'm going to fight the king's unit. That's the trick to beating dwarves. You just can't fight the king's unit unless you're really strong. Some Chaos Knights or something, or a dragon. Fanatics did work on the Iron Drakes, and then the Great Keith's going to go over and get stuck into the anvil. So he's into the anvil there at the end, and that's pretty much it. That's the end of the game about there, I think. Yeah, so that's the final result. We ended up killing about 1,000 points with banners and bonuses, etc. And we only lost about 285, and it ends up being like a 15-5. So I think the Great Keith finishes off the anvil, And then to get some bonus points, thanks to my opponent who told me, well, what you should do is move this guy into here and move this guy there, and then you'll get the extra bonus points. I wasn't even thinking of the bonus points. I was happy with a draw or a minor win, but it ended up being like a 15-5 with the bonus points, etc. So the King's unit just spun around there. We didn't charge in there, and so I got rid of pretty much all his army except the King and the were they hammerers or iron breakers or whatever they were? Anyway, he had two tough units left in the middle. I wasn't going to fight them. The Black Orcs might have done it, but I forgot about the scouts coming on behind me, so the Black Orcs just trotted up the middle very slowly. So that was it, the final game versus Dwarves at Castle Assault. Now let's talk about the results. Alright, so I might waffle on a bit here about the results and the state of play. There's the top 25. So the winner was Tomb Kings, all the way down to Skaven in 25th. And then the second half of the table, Tomb Kings down to Empire. So Empire up the top in 3rd and Empire down the bottom in 44th. So we lost a few along the way from our original 50 players. So it's worthwhile probably having a look at the top 10. People are interested in what wins tournaments and so on. So if we have a look, let's go through the Tomb Kings. Dragon, Wood Elves, Dragon, Empire. Well, no dragon, but a big griffin with an ogre blade and a steam tank and some tricky shooting to get rid of your shamans, wizards and so on. So number 4, Wood Elves, Dragon. Let me know if I'm wrong here, but I'm pretty sure. Both the Chaos armies had a Chaos Dragon. Bretonnians, they don't need a dragon, they have a Duke and they have Peg Knights and so on, maybe even a Green Knight. So Bretonnians are sort of well equipped to, be competitive without having a giant dragon, but they do have the Duke, who's pretty kick-ass. I think the 8th Tomb Kings had a dragon, and the only odd one out is probably the Ogre Kingdoms, but I suspect they would have had a Stonehorn, which is like a slow walking dragon, and they also have those mobile cannons, whatever they're called, the things that look like chariots but they're cannons. They're pretty good for dealing with dragons, mobile cannons with their Stonehorn. So that's but well done to everybody there. But what would be the common theme amongst the top 10 at least? What do you reckon? Besides dragons or equivalents, is that they all had a level 4 wizard. Let me know if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure. I haven't checked them all, but I'd say they all had a level 4 wizard. I've looked at a few of the army lists and just to have a look what they had. So level 4. So where does that leave an army without a level 4? You're in a bit of trouble. Dwarves are in trouble without a anvil, which gives like a level 3 dispel, but if they can stick outside the range of the anvil, they can release vortexes, etc. They have a field day. Dwarves struggle against magic, and it's not much fun for the dwarf player if they lose their anvil. And sure, they've got magic resistance and etc. But vortexes don't care about your magic resistance, so they can sling vortexes around and so on. So I think that's the common theme, is a dragon and a level 4, or a dragon equivalent, or ways to deal with a dragon and a level 4. So I think that's the common theme with the top armies. The Tomb Kings was a dragon with a couple of extra dragons, which are Necro Sphinxes. They're pretty good. They're like the poor man's dragon. I think they're under 200 points, and you got to deal with them like a dragon. And I think the Wood Elf dragons were like hard to kill, and I know the steam tank is hard to kill for the Empire. So that's the common theme. So let's get on to my rough tier list. You might be interested. If you're not, thanks for watching, but I'll just have a quick look at it. Alright, so obviously this is influenced by recent tournaments I've been to, so you can take from that what you would, I think. So Tomb Kings, I think they're on top, okay. Reasons, they've got Necro Sphinxes and a dragon, right, which we saw evident before. So you can have like a triple dragon, really, 2 Necro Sphinxes and a dragon. But then you've got the mortuary cult as well, which I've heard, I don't know, but I've heard that's pretty strong. Wood elves, only because of their performance here, and they've got that annoyance of netlings or something. They've got pretty much an unkillable dragon, and I think you could probably correct me. I haven't faced them, so how would I know? But I'm just going on recent results. They've got some way of moving characters across the table from one wood to the other or something. I have no idea, but I think they're probably up there from recent results and so on. Bretonnia, well, they've got all the tools, but essentially any Bretonian army with 2 units of Peg Knights. The problem with Peg Knights is they just charge 360, and they can have a Duke on a Pegasus as well, and he can charge 360, so you can't pin them down. So that's probably the key. I think the Green Knight's probably pretty good. But the Duke, with that hatred and so on that he gets on the charge or something, I just find the times I've faced Bretonians, I'm always surprised at the output of the Duke. Warriors of Chaos, only because they have a big dragon on a small base. That's the thing with the dragon. Most dragons, like the Vampire Dragon and Tomb King Dragon, they're on that giant base. But the Warriors of Chaos dragons on the smaller base. Same with the Elf dragons, they're on the smaller base. So it makes them very surgical. They can get into tighter places, land different places. So that's probably it. And they've all got level 4. Right, in the good category, like all armies are good. They're not all. It depends on the player and what you put in them. I can make a very bad Tomb King's army. Don't worry about that. All right. So you can make a bad Tomb King's army, and you can make a good one. Yeah, really, if you find something that's good and you take multiple of them, then that's pretty much the key. Find something that's too cost effective. Put more of them in your army and you'll be doing okay. So things like Peg Knights are pretty cost effective. That's why they're so good. Empire, well, mainly because they have access to all the different laws of magic and the steam tank, which I think is a pretty key piece. Then you got Beasts of Chaos. I would love to finish off my beast. I sold half my Beasts of Chaos army. So I just need to get some bits and pieces to build them back up again, and we may see Keith the Beast return to the old world. So that might be interesting. If I can, I've got about half a Beastman army. I don't know why I sold half of it. Anyway, I've got half a Beastman army. I might fix them up. So I'll put the Beastmen up in the good category because of ambush. I love ambush. When I play Tomb Kings, I love using ambush. It's just good fun. Chaos Dwarves, only because they've got a lot of shooting and crazy war machines and so on. So I'd put them and they have access to Black Orcs, etc. So I put them with Orcs and Goblins, but I have no idea. I haven't even seen a Chaos Dwarf army on the table, so they're just going in there on reputation. Orcs and Gobbos, they're good. They're a good army. You can make a bad one with them. You can make a good one, but the common theme with them would be level 4, as always, and maybe a Wyvern. Just need something to scare the enemy, getting in their back lines. Lizardmen, I'll put them up here because Carnosaurs, I think, are pretty good, and I haven't faced them yet, but I've just seen them on the table with lots of skinks. Carnosaur, and level 4, the Slan, so they could be up there, but I think just loads of skinks. People would, if you spam skinks and Carnosaurs, that's pretty much the way they play. And then in the okay area here, dwarves. Well, dwarves are always going to struggle against heavy magic and dragons. So they're sort of, I think with dwarves you could find something that's good, right? Gyrocopters. So if you ran 3 units of 3 gyrocopters, I think then you're probably in the Peg Knight sort of territory. They have some options there. Ogre Kingdoms, they're okay. Stonehorns, and they have lots of little, what are they, saber tusks, and those cannons that move around. I wish I remember Iron Blaster cannons that move around and shoot. And I put High Elves and Dark Elves. You could put High Elves and Dark Elves up in the top tier as well, because if they just take a dragon and loads of magic and shooting, they're pretty much the same army, really. Elves are elves. You can't take infantry elves. They just get swatted. They're toughness 3. Even if they're going to, hit you hard, then you hit them back. Goblins will kill them. They're toughness 3 with like 5 up saves, really. So High Elves and Dark Elves, shooting, magic, and dragon. Now, vampires I've put here. You can do the scream list and be a bit of a wanker, I suppose. But that's the only thing they can do. They got a dragon, they got magic, they've got blood knights and so on. But so you can build a cheeky list with all the screams. You could build a decent list with vampires. They can do okay. Again, the theme would be dragon and level 4. And then I've put Skaven here. I've only played against one Skaven army, which was a bit not the usual sort of Skaven army. He was trying to do something with gutter runners leaping around the table. So I don't know. They're supposed to be no good, but what about all the machines and doom wheels and warp lightning cannons and poison wind? That's what I'd like to see, a mass of those, but you have to pay the clan rack tax, so that's maybe their problem. But again, they don't have access to a dragon. They'd have to shoot it off and so on. We'll talk about the problems with dragons in a minute as well. And demons I've put down the bottom because I have a Khorne demon army which I should rebase and give them a go. But I don't think, because they've got a ward save, but any magic missiles, etc., is really going to kill them because they'll lose their ward save. And then they're like bloodletters, they're only like toughness 3, are they? Anyway, so I'll put them down there in the unknown category. And the crap is empty because no armies are crap. I know players that are really good players would take Skaven and work out what to do with them. But it wouldn't be as easy as just taking a dragon, a level 4, and fast stuff, I suppose. So there's easy. I'd say the top armies are easier to build a good army. The bottom armies they're all okay. It's just not as easy to build a decent army, and they're not as forgiving. All right, so you could put elves and dark elves up the top, dragon shooting. It's pretty much the way to victory. So let's talk about dragons. All right. The problem with dragons is I don't know whose idea it was. Whose idea was it to combine profiles to make them super tough? I think that's the problem. They turn them into like Age of Sigmar big monsters. And it's good that dragons are on the table, but it's a bit too forgiving. So many wounds. Like the big ones have got like 10 wounds, and then they end up with 3 up, 2 up saves and a couple of ward saves and so on. Even the Wyvern ends up with a 2 up save and a 5 up, 5 up if you play him defensively. And that's, it's probably necessary to get the thing there because there's so much shooting around. I don't know. There's a delicate balance. I just think that the other thing is they shouldn't have close order. Close order should be for infantry only when you've got 5 models and ranks. Giving close order to heavy chariots and dragons and so on is a mistake. We could leave the wounds combined. Just close order is a problem, and outnumbering should be a +1. We used to have +1 for outnumbering back in the day, so I would give infantry close order and +1 for outnumbering the enemy. Although dragons can come in at unit strength 10, etc. So it seems like the key to success is obviously a level 4 and a dragon. And at lower points levels, the game doesn't really start to work properly until you get to 2000. I don't know what the solution. I don't think there's anything wrong with the game as it is. We just have to be aware going in that a dragon is going to be very strong. You've got to have ways to deal with it. The other thing I think is a problem with the game is with dragons as well is the way things can charge in, kill something, and then pass a leadership test and get a reform. Like you can't even use infantry to divert them out of the way. I don't think there was a rule before, because if a dragon charged in, killed something and overran, it was stuck there pointing the wrong direction. So at least you had a turn or something to turn around and deal with it. But now, like a dragon or a big killer unit, like a big unit of knights or something, or peg knights, well, they don't care, they just charge 360. But the way a dragon or a big unit can go in, kill something, pass a test and reform. So next thing they're on your flank. They don't have to wheel around or come around. It doesn't take them time to get back in position. So I think that's Was that in 8th edition or something? I can't remember it being in like 6th edition. That was where my most games were, 5th, 6th, 7th, I guess. Anyway, I have rambled on too much. Let me know what you think. Dragons and magic, that's about it. And that damn close order business, no outnumbering. There could be a few things to fix it, I reckon. Anyway, Games Workshop aren't going to listen to me. Let me know what you think. And thanks for watching, and I'll catch you later. Bye for now.
Thanks for watching another Creaky Gamers production. We hope it wasn't too bad.